Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder of the Pizza Guys, Shahpour Nejad. Shahpour, how are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, Shahpour, it's great having you on the show here. Why don't you tell us about the Pizza Guys? You started this way back in 1986, huh?
Exactly. So this is a venture that I started in California, but my history in pizza business goes back way beyond that. When I was in college in Cleveland, Ohio, so pretty much I got into pizza business from 1979. After graduating, I sort of decided the Cleveland weather is too cold, and I had relatives in California, moved to California, and started this chain over here in California back in 1986.
And so what made you decide to start your own pizza business?
Well, I didn't choose pizza business. It chose me, basically. And again, going back to Cleveland, as a foreigner student coming into the United States and trying to establish myself and having pay for tuition and all that stuff, it's sort of like my first job was pizza business. And while I was going to college, paying for tuition and all that stuff, I was a full-time student and a full-time pizza maker. And I started loving what you could turn a knob and see success in the business and stuff. And after I graduated, I was asking all my buddies that graduated in the same field that I was in mechanical engineering field, and yeah, we had friends, different engineering and stuff like that. And I was making a lot more money than they were doing in pizza business. So I said, you know what? It's been good to me and I want to continue that. Basically, that's a short story of what happened.
Fair enough. Okay, well, let's give a little more color for the audience here. You're coming up on a magical 100 franchise locations, and we're going to get into franchising here in a moment. But I understand you have 89 franchise units right now open, plus 6 company owned in California, right? Nevada, and Texas is coming now.
Texas is going to be open in a few months. Yes, that's the farthest state that we have ever been. So we are very excited. Texas is going to be a huge market for us. But we've been doing so good in California. We started in Northern California, and pretty much we have at least 1 or 2 pizza shops in every town in Northern California. For the last few years, we were really pushing in Southern California, and I'm glad to say that we have over 20 locations in Southern California and another 10 under construction that's coming up. And we are so excited. We wanted to make sure that the next territory that we're going to develop, for the amount of work and effort that we're going to put into it, is big enough so we can be able to open at least a couple hundred, pizza shop. And Texas came on the radar, and we did 2 years of a study and exploration of different places. And we have, you have Dallas, you have Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and we decided for the first stop to be Dallas. Is a huge market, and demographic fits exactly the kind of profile that we're looking for. So that's our first stop, but eventually we're going to be in Houston, San Antonio, and Austin as well. Those are the major cities, and then some smaller cities as well.
Sure.
That's our goal.
All right. Well, and you guys are well known in California. Of course, I'm an East Coast guy, so not as familiar, but I know that you're really, really popular out there on the West Coast. Take me back to the beginning, because so many of my audience are emerging founders, and you remember what it was like back in the late 80s starting out. Would you share with the audience, what was it like when you first were running your company? Because you had a little bit of experience as an employee, but now you're running your first business. And what was life like? And what were maybe some of the early mistakes that you made?
Well, just to make a little correction, when I was in the pizza business in Cleveland, I actually was a partner, and then we bought a second location, and so I was a partner in 2 locations, and I was the owner or co-owner. So there was a lot.
18 years old?
Yeah, believe it or not, 18 years old. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That is incredible.
I was I was just the hardest working person on that team, and the owner liked me so much, he made me a partner, and then we opened the second store together and stuff like that. So I was very excited about, how I can, like I said, move some knobs and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and make the business very successful. And the only issue between pizzas from East Coast to West Coast was the variety of pizzas, or the difference between the pizzas from the East Coast and the West Coast. And California is all health conscious, and a lot of health conscious kind of pizzas and stuff like that, and not as deep dish or all meat kind of pizzas that we used to have in Cleveland. So when I moved to California, that was the biggest thing, that I had to really redo the menu and adjust to our customer profile in California. And that took a while to create all these recipes and all these pizzas that are going to be favorites here in California. That was the biggest challenge, to be honest. And after that, it was just having the right team, right people that can, carry the weight and bring you to where you are right now.
Where was the first location?
First location in Sacramento, and still open. The same location is still open over here. That's store number 101. So in Sacramento, California.
Nice. All right. Well, how long was it before you had this realization that I'm onto something big here and I want to expand beyond this one location in Sacramento and start blowing this thing up?
So yeah, that's a very good question, because we originally, when you start as a mom and pop and you start, maybe you don't have the ambition of becoming a franchise and stuff like that. But ours came out pretty quickly because we had some good people, team members, that they're working just as hard as I was working back in Cleveland when I started. So I had very good team, and these guys worked really hard. And we opened, I think, 7 company stores at that time. And those 7 company stores, these managers were just awesome, just great. And you can only, as a team member, you can only pay so much. And then these people, they expect more and more. So what I did, I saw the need to franchise and make these people my first franchisees. And of course, they didn't have any money. I said, you know what? I believe in these people because they made me who I am up to this point, and I think I'm going to go ahead and invest in them. And so we supported them financially, and they became our first franchisees. So if I didn't do that, I would lose them. And it's hard, to run 7 stores by yourself. But they are still 99% of them are with me, and they have multiple stores. They have one, two, three, or the biggest one, they have 7 stores right now, and they're still with me after all these years, and I'm so proud of that.
That's amazing. I could imagine when you were starting out and you're a young guy, you were a kid back then, you were able to relate to these people as that were you were bringing on as managers and franchisees. They probably related to you. There was some camaraderie there.
Absolutely. So I did the same thing when I had my first job. I had to prove myself. And when I proved myself, the guy gave me a chance. My partner, he gave me a chance. And when he gave me a chance, I had to just prove myself. And when I did it, we opened a second store like that. And I wanted to give the same opportunity to these people. And it worked. It worked. And yeah, I'm very proud of that, to be honest. And even long after that, we had grew very organically by having their cousin coming over here, their friends, family, relatives, or loyal customers that were coming to our stores. And we are so proud of that, because we actually didn't have a mechanism to sell a franchise when we started. It was all organic, people coming to us buying franchise. So all the way to right before pandemic, I think everything that we grew all the way to 65 stores, it was all organic. And because of the loyalty that we have through our franchisees, which are friends and families and stuff like that, and also customers. So
Yeah. That's quite the magical ride. Most franchisors that I talk with, including myself, we got our first dozen franchisees because they were referrals. Now, I didn't have friends or family that opened franchises of mine, but typically founders I talk to, that is the case. What's different about your business, though, is that it had this ripple effect where you were able to just keep growing organically, where most of us had to advertise, on the web portals, maybe use brokers and all those things in the very, very beginning. But you just had this just crazy momentum.
Well, the other thing that I believe in is that maybe some people they start franchising too early and they're not ready. They don't have the infrastructure and stuff. And I really cared about that because I knew that if you don't have all the infrastructure in place and you don't have the support, of course, you can advertise and sell, and some people will believe in you. But then what? If you don't give them the support to succeed, you cannot grow. So I was hesitant to do that for longest time, and we you know and then when we got more and more store open, and I said, you know what, we are already doing that. We already are supporting. We already doing that. We do have the mechanism, and why don't I believe in that? I did. So the only other thing I did, we purchased a beautiful 28,000 square feet building, and we put a replica of one of our stores inside as a test kitchen and stuff like that. Totally exactly replica of one of our stores. I made the infrastructure as beautiful and as I can and as thoughtfully as I can. And that was the, stepping stone to move to the next phase, because we had everything. We had the team members, we had the trainers, we had our operation manual all, dialed in, and the facility that we had, we could test everything. We could train people over here. We had a test store. So everything worked out just fine. And when we were ready to self-franchise, now we can go ahead and start advertising and self-franchise. And I'm so proud to say that we jumped really quick, and we are averaging over 10 stores a year right now, at least. And the only thing that is stopping us from moving is the time that it takes for us to get the permits and stuff like that. Otherwise, we could be opening 20 stores. It's getting so difficult to open a store, getting the permit on time, and, getting the construction on time. And during the COVID, of course, everything just dead stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I give you a lot of credit. But plus, you're not an easy state to do business in and expand as well, as beautiful as it is.
It's beautiful that it is. If you can make it in California, you can make it anywhere. That's what I say.
That's probably the new slogan now, for sure. Shahpour, there's no shortage of pizza franchises that are out there and brands. What's been your secret to success? I mean, you've gotten nearly 100 franchises with such a high concentration in just California, Nevada. So why are people drawn to pizza guys?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because we very early on we had to decide who we're going to be. Like what's the difference between pizza guys and everybody else out there. And when we start franchising, we knew that we're going to be opening a whole bunch of store, and we had to decide, okay, what's our niche? Where are we going to be in the market as far as the quality and price? Are we going to go into price wars with Papa John, Domino's, Pizza Hut, Little Caesars and stuff? Or we're going to say, you know what? We don't want to get in that game. We're going to go towards quality, and we want people to buy us because they like our product. They think our product is quality and stuff like that. So that was really the turning point right from the beginning. And right from the beginning, we said, we're not going to get into price war. We're going to have our own niche in the market. And one of the things that I am, my wife, my family, we are very foodie people, and we care about the quality of the food. I'll give you an example of what's the difference. Like, we opened 1986, and from that day forward till now, this is 2025, we have every item on our menu. If we had to change, we would only change it if we found something better as far as quality, not because we found something cheaper. So imagine how many times we have improved the quality of our product from day one till now. And if it wasn't good enough as far as quality, we wouldn't change it. And there were so many times tempting when, let's say, the price of olives was skyrocketing, or price of cheese, or price of something else, or sauce, and franchisees are crying and stuff like that. You say, you know what? You want to steadfast, and you want to stay on course, and you want to make sure that you take care of the quality, because your customers know what they want. And if you change it, you're going to lose customers. So we stayed on course with the quality. And from day one, We have improved the quality of everything that we do. It would be all the items on the pizzas, on the side orders or whatever. We have improved one by one. And since 1986, I can say that we are at the highest quality. The next thing is there's, you talk about just a regular pizza that mostly people order, let's say a pepperoni pizza. It's hard to distinguish between one to another. For non-professional taste buds, they all taste the same. But we had to say, okay, what's the difference with pizza guys? And we decided that, we call ourselves home of the specialty pizza. We have over 30 some pizzas that are gourmet specialty. And again, because I'm a foodie person and my families are, and we have the R&D over here, they know what I want. So when we come up with a new recipe for a new gourmet pizza selection, it's not just putting some toppings together. They have to have certain taste, and each one unique. 'Cause, we have close to 10 different sauces that you can put on the pizzas, and the combination of toppings that we put together to make that gourmet pizza is extremely unique. And this is the kind of thing that they cannot, people cannot get at these other places that are competing. So we are a home of the gourmet specialty pizza, and you can get good quality pizzas, but you probably have to go to a bistro with a wood burning oven and sit down and pay 40-50 bucks for that 12-inch pizza. You know what I'm saying? Versus you
Right.
can get the same or better quality pizza from us, because that's what we are, home of the specialty pizza that can be delivered. And we are, as you know, we are delivery and takeout. So we have to impress people by delivering the food to them and then having them taste just as good as they experience as a bistro cafe or something.
What's your favorite one on the menu that you're most proud of?
It's like picking your kids. You can't do that to me. You can't do that. After a long time that you've been eating pizza and you're getting a little bit older, you have to watch your carb and stuff like that. So we have a new Tuscany crust, which is a much thinner, crunchy crust that we have, and that one uh, have a lot of healthy, toppings like the spinach and, chicken, all natural chicken and stuff like so. Spinach garlic chicken is my favorite right now.
Very nice, very nice. Shapur, I want to stop here for a moment, and I want to share with you that I think that you just taught aspiring entrepreneurs an incredible business lesson. It's for the folks that they have a business idea and they're afraid to get into an industry where there's quote unquote lots of competition that's well known. And by you pointing out that you understood exactly what your business was, who your target audience, what they would want, as opposed to just fighting in the cluttered, cheap and fast pizza model, you were able to separate yourself from the pack. And I think it's important to point out because there's a lot of friends and family out there that, they don't want their kid to fail or they don't want their young adult child to fail at. And so they give them advice, say, oh, you shouldn't do that because there's a lot of competition. And you didn't even think twice about the competition because you knew exactly who you were and what your model was going to be about and stay true to it.
That's exactly how we feel. If you're persistent, uh, you know, people, you have to be careful that you don't want to please yourself. And that's the thing. You don't want to please yourself, because sometimes you can just, you know, eat a a piece of bread with cheese, and that tastes good when you're hungry. You know what I'm saying? You have to be very critical of your stuff, and do have an audience that could be honest and tell you how good it is. And if it's not good, you have to go back and fix it. You know what I'm saying? So if you create a good recipe and good formula, and you really believe in it, and you have already tested and make sure the customers and the loyal customers like it, then you have to be consistent in the quality, and you do such a good job that your customer become your word of mouth advertisers for you. And that's the greatest success, because now you have these customers that believe in your product, and they go and then they tell others. So for example, like, you're not from Sacramento. You come and ask me, hey, I'm going to be in Sacramento. Where do you think is a good place to eat? And if I tell you that this is a good place to eat, you're going to take my word for it. You're going to try it. And I'm only going to tell you the places that I really believe in it. You know what I'm saying? So my word of advertisement is going to work because now I'm going to have you go there, and you wouldn't go anywhere else because I recommended, these places to you. And this is same thing for us. We want our customers to do the work for us as far as word of mouth advertising, and we want them to say how good it is. But in order to do that, you have to be consistent in quality of service, quality of food all the time. If you are willing to do that in your business, you succeed, no problem.
Yeah. And one of the strengths I'm kind of hearing too that you have, and say, look, there's a lot of things I didn't do well, but one thing I was able to do as well is think like the customer. If we think like the customer, we get out of our own way and we could not fall in love with the baby.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what a mistake some people do, and they fall in love with their stuff, and they don't ask anybody's opinion. That doesn't work. You need
No,
to have your customers, your loyal customers, are the one. Everybody else get honest opinion and tweak it and make it and make good at it. You know what I'm saying?
for sure. Shapur, tell me about your franchisees. Who's the type of franchisee that really thrives in your system?
The type of franchisees that really thrive are the people that are hands-on, and they're not looking at business like an ATM machine. Okay, I invested some money in here. Now I'm going to take money out. No, these franchisees have to be hands-on. We have franchisees that have 7 stores. After 7 stores, they cannot be all hands-on in all 7 stores, but they are on top of their business. They know every day what's going on, and they have management team and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But for the first one, for you to get a hang of the store, you definitely need to be hands-on, and you need to be knowing what's happening in your store, from the customers, from purchasing food, and everything else. The next thing is, one of the things that I really, really emphasize with these franchisees are, you need to think of this business as part of the community. These are communities that buy from you, so you have to be very generous and pay back. So if there's something going on as far as community events that you need to make donations and stuff, definitely get involved. If anything going on in the neighborhood, you have to get involved. Other thing is that you're hiring these people, the employees that coming in is somebody's brother, somebody's sister, wife, whatever. So these are the people that from the community, and you also have to make sure that you treat your team members the best way possible. So they talk about you. They talk about how good this business is, and how much you care about the quality of the food, how much you care about all of that. So these people, what we're looking for hands-on franchisees, and we're not looking for franchise that wants to buy a territory and this is basically investment, and it doesn't work for us. We want people that are hands-on and care about our values, and care about the community, care about their team members, care about the quality and consistency, and those are the kind of people that we're looking for.
Awesome. It sounds like Shapur, you could teach a masterclass in organic growth because I'm hearing organic growth on selling franchises and organic growth in being in the community at the local store level.
It
So
worked for us, to be honest. It worked for us, and we're so proud of that.
that's awesome. What's in it? What's the investment range to open one location?
Right now in California, I believe maybe Texas is going to be a little bit cheaper for us. In California is between 3 to 400, and that's building something from scratch. And we do have other programs that is conversions, getting an existing place and changing it to pizza guys and stuff, which probably be cheaper, but it's hard to find these days. But from scratch, brand new location, between 3 to 400,000 dollars right now.
Not bad. Not bad. How big's the footprint?
1,200 square feet is our sweet spot, but sometimes, we have to go all the way up to 1,600 because the location that exists, it is that size and they won't divide it. But 1,200 square feet is our sweet spot.
Is there any dining component? Or it's all takeout and delivery.
No, the 1,200, definitely not. But if you go to a 1,600, we probably put a couple of chairs in just very small dining room so people have, time to sit down, and if they wanted to enjoy something at lunch or whatever, they could. But very minimal.
Okay. Well, now that you've expanded beyond California, Nevada, and now you're taking on Texas, where do you see the brand growing over the next 5 to 10 years?
So our highest concentration definitely is going to be in Texas. And Texas is a huge market, bigger than California, we believe. Right now, like I said, we're gonna be our opening our 100th location very soon, and we've probably maybe another 50 we can do combined Northern and Southern California. So Texas is going to be the highest concentration. And what I don't like to do, I don't like to jump state. Let's say you talked about Florida being very far. I think the secret to our success is the level of support that we give our franchisees. And if I jump too far out and I cannot support, then the brand is going to be diluted and maybe not supported as well. Maybe just the states around us at the beginning. So we'll be Arizona, New Mexico, let's say Seattle, I mean Washington and Oregon, things like that.
Very smart. Slow and steady wins the race. And I bet you have some opinions about these franchises nowadays that are trying to open 40, 50, 100 locations within a year, their first year or two, because they've got these broker groups that want to just sell their pants off.
Yeah, and I heard some horror stories about these franchises and they don't give support. And as soon as they open, that's how
They
soon they
can't.
close. Yeah, so it's not good.
No, no, not at all. So, Shahpour, what's the legacy that you hope to leave with this business? You've had an incredible run over these last, what, 40 some odd years.
Yep. So to be honest, I have friends that they always ask me when you're gonna retire, and I said, you know what, I'm enjoying the journey. The journey is what makes me happy. It's like you're having a small baby, and now the baby has grown, and now is going to college and stuff like that. I like to see the progress, and I'm enjoying the ride, and it is not the money. I think you know I'm a humble guy and enjoy what I have and stuff. I don't live a lavish life, but the thing is the enjoyment of this ride and getting this baby to a very good horizon. That's my goal and stuff like that. And I don't have, to be honest, I don't have any number in my head saying that this is where I want to be. But I think with the infrastructure that we have, with the good team that we have, sky is the limit, and we're not going to stop. We're just going to go. It's just like a river running. And
Right.
you jump in and you just keep going. But I see a lot of good things happening with our brand, and we have a lot of franchisees that believed in us and they're with us, and all the new franchisees that are coming in, we have learned from the past. The opening that we are doing, they're always breaking records, and we have more and more successful opening, and I'm amazed at these numbers that's coming out, for brand new stores and stuff like that. So we're doing a lot of right things, and I'm very proud of my team that's making it happen. And also we are very picky about the quality of our franchisees, because now we're going to be in a different territory, and we have to be careful so that we don't ruin the brand. You know what I'm saying?
Right. One of the common themes that I get from talking with some of the most successful franchisors is it was never about the money. Yes, the money comes when you do the right thing, but it was always about doing the right thing with the business, making sure that the quality is there. And magically, the money shows up as a result, whereas people often do the reverse. I've never made anything work in my life when I did something for the money. It never worked for me. It sounds like you're a bit of the same.
Yeah, is exactly. Is if you don't enjoy the ride, you shouldn't be in the business. You know what I'm saying? If you're only doing it for the money, you don't enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be in the business. That's what I say. But I enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? The other day we had a food testing over here and stuff, and I said, guys, you guys, I'm on a low carb diet. I said, no, you're not. You're in the pizza business. I said, absolutely. So we jump in and we're doing all the testing and stuff like that, because it is every single new product that we come in, I have my hands on it. I have
Right.
something to say about it, something for the success of that product. So for that reason, I'm heavily involved in all aspects of my business to make sure that we are going in the right direction, because this was my baby. You know what I'm saying?
Shapur, your customers are growing older with you. So it makes perfect sense that as your taste will change and more importantly, dietary requirements change, your customers are also aging as well that were with you from the very beginning. So you're doing justice to all of these customers out there.
Yeah. So I'm glad you went to that point. That's one of the other thing that is different about us is that a lot of these, especially when I was in East Coast, I remember going to these businesses and they say, "Oh yeah, this business was around for 100 years," and people line up and get something. And then I tasted, I said, nothing special about it. What's going on? Just because this was around for 100 years. So especially in California, I don't think people care about a business being around for 100 years. I think they're all into all the new flavors and new things, and especially with the Gen Z right now. You know what I'm saying? They want something new, and they want something that tastes good. They can post it, it goes viral, that kind of thing, and stuff like that. So we are our team, our R&D team over here at my corporate office are a lot of young people that they have the same taste as the Gen Z, and I don't know what's the next one, Gen Alpha, whatever.
Gen Alpha, yeah, is next.
So we have to be current. We have to be current. We cannot just say, "Oh, we've been around for 40 years." That doesn't work anymore. So we are always updated and make sure that we have the new trends, new flavor. I go to a lot of seminars and food shows and stuff like that to make sure that we are on top of the trends. We are going with the trends, and we have it. And it's very difficult because sometimes the trends comes in and it dies right away. So you have to pick which one is the one that you really believe is gonna be here to stay. And that's my job. That's my job. And so far, I swear to God, I was 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 20 on this one, because we do a very good job making sure we pick the right flavors, the right trend on sauce, on different things that's coming up, on the toppings, what people want, and then we go from there. Like, I give you an example about like Impossible beef and stuff like that, and that was something that it was really hot, but it pretty much died down, and we didn't get on board with it. You know what I'm saying? We tried to stay out of it, immediately. So things like that.
And how has your role changed now? It sounds like so you're involved in the R&D and stay on top of the trends. Is that what you're mostly doing now with the company?
So I sit on every department's meeting. And again, having a good team, I don't have to be the one that's doing it, but I have a very good team. I'm very proud of that team, and they talk about what the plan is, and I put my 2 cents in it. And if the direction is not in the right direction, I'll tell them. And but mostly they do all the due diligence and make sure that they have the answer for every question I ask. And that's the all the other department except the R&D department, which is the very important to me. And I know how I started this business and what I want, what direction I want to go. Because in order to stay on top of the quality, you cannot get gimmicky and bring in items that are here to stay one day, but then here one day and gone the other day. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I really care about that, and make sure that I have my 2 cents in that for sure, 100%.
Good for you. Well, I know getting to 100 franchises takes a village. It's a lot more than one person, so you've certainly empowered your people. But I love, again, another you're offering lots of lessons for folks that are really watching and listening to this carefully. As you've grown and changed, now at 100 franchises, you've positioned yourself where you're doing what you love. Whereas sometimes as we continue to grow as or I should say not grow personally as a CEO and we start grinding and it gets tiring and my gosh, I'm doing the same thing again and again. But you found that you know exactly what part of the business you love to do. And that's what you're focusing on. And at the same time, you've empowered the people in other departments to do what's necessary. And they're just looking for the Shahpour seal of approval, probably. But at the end of the day, you've adapted to the business.
Because if you don't empower your team members, they cannot do their job. If you want to micromanage them, it just doesn't work. You know, I remember early days that had 3, 4, locations or something, and we had a delivery truck and stuff like that. And if they wanted to buy a tire for the truck, they have to ask me, "Hey, where do I buy the truck? Where do I buy the tires?" and stuff like that. Simple question like that. But I'm glad that we got to a point that they're making very heavy decisions and stuff, and they're making the right decisions because they are trained as far as the path of decision making. That's what something, is like raising a child. You have to teach them manners, you have to teach them this and that, and you get them active in sports and music and all that stuff. When you do all of that stuff, they turn out pretty good kids. At least my kids did. You know what I'm saying? So our team is very dedicated, very, very able, and they make some tough decisions, and they make the right decisions because, you know, we trained each other in that path.
Absolutely. Well, Shahpour, it's been an honor to interview you here today. If someone was interested in learning more about opening their own pizza guys, where would they go?
First thing is pizzaguys.com. That's, we have very informative website, pizzaguys.com/franchising, I believe. But they can start from pizzaguys.com and get in there. It talks a lot about, how to get in, and having an application filled up so they can get back. Usually we get back, with them within 24 hours. And also we have, our corporate office, my assistant, Miss Kim Bui, at 916-852-2222. And she'd be happy to answer any questions. And, but pizzaguys.com is the best place they can go.
Awesome. Okay. Well, Shahpour, I always end every podcast with the franchise tip jar because, the franchise community is so generous with sharing the information. So look, you're at 100 franchises. I don't know if you have a big celebration or not. Probably not. You're kind of a low key guy, it sounds like. But if you were giving advice to some other founders that were struggling and they were at, that 10 to 20 unit and they just kind of hit a wall, what would be a piece of advice you'd give them to kind of break through and be on that path to greater success?
Well, I'll tell you, things are not easy. And I hit a wall many, many times. And when we got to, let's say, 50, we thought we were spinning our wheels and stuff like that, and we're not getting anywhere. And every so many times that, we thought we're just spinning wheels, we're not getting anywhere and stuff. And you just work harder and you try to find something, and don't give up. If you believe in your product and you believe in yourself, I think you should just go on. Identify what is making you, spinning your wheels. What do you need to make it happen? And for me, to be honest, for me was when the pressure got too much because I was doing everything. I was doing everything, and it was just, I was overloaded. And as soon as I delegated some jobs to other people, that I was hesitant to do that because I thought I'm the best person that can do it.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. When I started doing that and have them to be the decision makers, and I didn't have to worry about that part, I trusted them. You give them the guidance and you give them that. As soon as I released myself from this pressure, everything got better. Everything got easier because now I'm not handling 100% of my business, and I have somebody that I can trust that can do part of that job for me. And that's when everything got easier, and just, I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And you need to do that. You need to look at your team members, your infrastructure, to see where is the problem, where is the bottleneck. And as soon as you identify that, you fix that, then your path is going to be clear and you move forward.
Awesome advice. Shahpour, I knew it was going to come down to people. It always does. So for those emerging founders out there, if you are stuck, start looking around look in the mirror first of all, right? And then see who's part of the team. That's probably the problem.
Absolutely.
Shahpour, thanks so much for being on the show. It was a pleasure to meet you and an honor to have you on the show. And I look forward to trying out the pizza guys when you really get into Texas. I'll get over there.
Absolutely. You're welcome to come over here and see us over here at our office in Sacramento. We have a nice facility and we can take care of you. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.